Hey everybody, so Kara and the girls came up with a good idea for us to share some stories of Grandma, something special that we remember. So I have a lot of different memories. A lot of them are going to be happy, some are sad, but the story I was going to share in particular is kind of a different sort of story of Grandma. She was a very kind, compassionate, and caring person, but she could also be tough. Grandma was the only person in my life who's ever called the cops on me. I was about 13 years old, just being rambunctious and down at the park playing with a bunch of friends, and decided to roll a trash can into the creek. Grandma was on her walk, and she just happened to be coming around and saw me do it, and she wasn't very happy about it. So she decided to actually call the cops on me. And when the officer showed up, he had me hop in and start cleaning up trash, and picked it all up and put it back where it was supposed to be, sort of thing. I never expected Grandma would do something like that, but it kind of taught me a lesson that obviously I shouldn't have done that in the first place, but that I had somebody that was going to help keep me accountable and, keep my head screwed on straight. Definitely had a lot of friends that didn't turn out as well as I did, and I'd like to think that I owe a fair amount of that to her growing up, because we definitely had her in our lives quite a bit, different places, Texas, Kansas, wherever. But, just wanted people to know that Grandma had many sides. She was a very kind and loving and caring person, but she could also be tough when she needed to be. And I definitely like to think that I owe a good chunk of who I am and some of my morals and values because of her. So hopefully this video isn't too weird, and hopefully that's somewhat appropriate. Kara, I guess you'll let me know if it's not, but yeah, alright. Love you guys. Bye.
Hi, I would have to say that one of my favorite memories of Grandma would definitely have to be all of the time that we spent baking and cooking together, and of course making her amazing dinner mints that we all love so much. I just love how we both really love to enjoy cooking and baking, and it is something that we really loved to be able to do together and just laugh and have the best time doing it, especially with each other. I also do really just love how she was able to be there and present with all of us on my wedding day. I will cherish all those pictures and memories I have of her being able to be there on one of the biggest days of my life. And I love looking back and knowing that she had one last time being able to hang out with all of her family and party and just have so much fun.
One of my favorite memories of Grandma is actually a more recent one. A couple months ago, she had a surgery. It was for down south. And I was like one of the only people that was available to pick up her meds from the pharmacy. So I head over to the pharmacy, pick up the meds, and the pharmacist is going over everything, telling me in detail how to do everything. And I'm like, all right, I got it. Head over to Grandma's, and I'm like, all right, let's sit down, let me go over everything with you. And it was just so funny because I'm sitting here telling Grandma all the steps, how to apply everything and where it goes, where it shouldn't go. And we're just dying. We are laughing and giggling, and it's so simple, but yet I will treasure that. It's just those small things, small times. And kind of backpacking off of that, one of my favorite things about Grandma was her laugh. I mean, talk about the most infectious laugh ever. And just, she had the best giggle, and you know, you could just still hear it. And she just loved to laugh. So that's it. Those are just some of my memories and my favorite things about Grandma.
Hey everybody, so first off I just wanted to say thank you for showing up, and it means a lot to me and my family. And I'm about to talk about my favorite memory I have with Grandma. So when I was really little, probably around 7, maybe even 6, my tooth ended up being really loose at my grandma's house, and they decided it needed to be pulled. So that night before bed, they pulled my tooth, and then we ended up putting it in like a bag or something and putting it under my pillow. The next morning when I woke up, there was like glitter, dust all around. It like went from the window to the floor, all the way up to underneath my pillow. And there was money there, like the tooth fairy had came. And it was just really cool to me that they had done something like that for me, tried to give me a moment I wouldn't forget. I really appreciate it.
Hello everyone, I just wanted to share a few memories that I had of Grandma. She's always lived with us from Garden City to Manhattan to Texas, back up to Kansas, and she's just always been around. One of my oldest memories, I believe we were living in Garden City at the time, and she was watching me and Jared. Mom must have been at work or something was going on, and I was really sick, and I don't know where we were going, but either which way, I was in the back seat just throwing up all over the poor floorboard of whatever car she had at this time. And she's up front, like, yelling with encouragement of, yes, get the demons out, purge yourself. It's kind of funny. A few years later, I believe we were living in Manhattan at the time, and I'm sure I started it, but Jared decided to chase me with a steak knife around the house, and needless to say, Grandma saved me because Jared was mad. But again, I probably started it. But, you know, she's just always been there. I mean, she's been for both Gage and Sadie's births, and my mom's graduation, and she's just always been around. And I love her, I'm gonna miss her, and thank you, everybody.
I remember taking Grandma out to lunch in Kansas City, and she was so funny. She's kind, she's loving, humble, very frugal though. Grandma was very frugal. So we are in Kansas City and we can go out to eat anywhere. My treat, Grandma, let's go eat. And we went to Pizza Hut because she had a 20% off coupon. So by golly, we were getting 20% off pizza that day. So Pizza Hut we went, and then we went to this thrifty little bookstore afterwards. And so she was on a mission to find a calendar, and we go in there and they didn't really have anything that she was interested in. And so I decide, let's go to Barnes & Noble. They've got calendars, and let's go find you something, So we get to Barnes & Noble, and she finds this beautiful calendar. It has flowers and different seasons, and it was very Grandma. She loved it, but she refused to buy it. She would not buy that dang calendar. It was $15, $20, and she's decided that's not what she's gonna spend her money on. And so I bought the calendar for her, and I remember driving back from the bookstore, and she is sitting there in the front seat. She's got the calendar on her lap, and she is looking at me as I'm driving. She is looking at me from the passenger seat, just full on smiling. And I finally said, Grandma, what are you looking at? And we're kind of giggling, and she says, Madison, has anybody ever told you how white your teeth are? And she's sitting there and she means it, and she's smiling and she's funny. And that was Grandma. She was very kind and very observant and funny. You know, she had a good personality and she brought a lot of people happiness. She will be dearly missed and forever loved. That's one of my favorite memories that I hold close to my heart. So, I love you, Grandma.
Okay, so my favorite memory with Grandma would have been this most recent one. We went to Kansas City in November, and we got to hang out with Grandma a lot that weekend, and Nash would have just been like 2-3 months old, and so he was just a little guy, and I swear you could just physically see her heart melting getting to hold this baby, and he is smiling, laughing up at her. That's the picture that comes to mind. I have a picture of him just laughing and smiling so big at her, and she is just the biggest smile on her face. And then Avery's running crazy all over the house playing with Grandma's. I think Colton made them, but they were the little knick-knacky clay characters or animals or something on the TV stand. And maybe there was a fish or something, or maybe it was a refrigerator magnet, but Avery kept playing with them and would try to get Grandma with the fish. And it was just so cute because even though Avery's being a turkey, Grandma was just loving it. She just loved having the kids around, you know. So, and then Avery kept eating her apples. She would go up, climb up on the chair in the kitchen and grab an apple, take a few bites, run around some more, go get a new apple, you know, eat some more, and just ate all of Grandma's apples. And then Grandma just was catering to her, giving her all the juice and the cookies and snacks and stuff. And it was so sweet. But that's my most recent favorite memory of her, just because she was so happy, she was beaming. You could tell she wasn't herself, but when the kids, you know, were giving her some love and stuff, she just soaked it all in and was really loving it. So then I'm soaking it all in, and it's a precious memory I'll get to hold forever. So while the kids don't remember it, it's in here forever. So that's definitely my favorite one that I can think of.
Everybody, I'm Josh, son of Dan and Carolyn Weideman, and I'm just here to reminisce on some of my favorite memories with my Grandma Joan. So I'd like to get it started with, usually we would take car rides, you know, me and my family to Olathe, and so I remember always just getting there after a long ride and stepping out of the van doors into the fresh Olathe air and watching the fireflies dance about her front yard like a movie scene. So I'd always try to scurry to the front door to be the first one there and get my hugs first. So after doing that, she would usually compliment about how much I'd grown since last time she'd seen me, and I would try to tell her how great she looked before. Everyone would sit down and we would just catch up. And so aside from that, some other memories I can think of are one time when my mom was delivering my youngest brother. I was sitting in the back seat of my mom's van pulling my grandma's hair like a little brat, and there is the time I wore my grandmother's wig. I think my mom has a picture of that somewhere, but the memories I can't remember too much is how she was kind of like a stand-in mom for me for a point. When I was a baby, she helped take care of me when you know, it was really hard for my parents, you know, at a time. So while they were at work or whatever, she was there for me, and she took care of me, and she did that for her family because she did what she could to make sure they met ends meet and that everyone was happy. And so I feel like that really shows what kind of a person she was. She was a very caring and loving woman, and I feel like that shows in every way. Even and the last time I saw her, I went to wrap my arms around her and hug her, and it broke my heart a little bit when I had heard her bones cracking, but I, took solace in the fact that she still lived her life with a smile, and she had, happiness surrounding her everywhere she went. So, I took peace in that. But yeah, I would just like to sum it up there and thank everyone for coming out and enjoying.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn. A lot of memories come to mind when I think of Grandma. Some of them are really sweet, a lot of them are funny, and more than probably should be are inappropriate. But one of them in particular that comes to mind is I was graduating high school and Grandma gave me a quilt that she had made, which I thought it was so cool that Grandma made quilts for people anyways. But this one was really stinking cool because on one side it was denim and on the other side it was a pink sparkly design that she picked out. And it was just bizarre to me that I actually picked the same design in school that year when I was making these pajama pants. Half of them were camo and the other half were this like gaudy sparkly pink design that we both happened to pick out, and I think that's just the coolest thing ever. Another one, like one of my all-time favorite memories, is when Ian and I would plan our Michigan trips just perfectly. So we would stop in Kansas City, we would spend 6 hours in the car, stop in Kansas City, and it would be nighttime. And when we had Paxton, and even with Porter, we did this, and she would bathe them and get to put lotion on them and bundle them up in their jammies, and then she would hold them and sing to them, and it was a good memory. Yeah, she's awesome. She was somebody that I was able to, I could be myself around. I could tell her anything, good, bad, inappropriate. I got to say it all, and I think that's who she was. She loved all of her grandkids, and she was always somebody that would listen and not judge. Her laugh was just, it was so contagious. I loved it. Very special lady. I will definitely miss her and miss my kids going to visit her and playing with her silly pumpkins and just feeding them anything. She had the juice and the snacks and the cookies and the candy, and she was very thoughtful and always thought of others. So yeah, I love her dearly, and she will definitely be missed. So love you guys.
Hi, I'm Michael. As you probably already all know, I'm not very good at these, but anything for Grandma Joan. I don't have as many memories as most of you because I joined the family a little later, but that's really the greatest memory that I have is the acceptance. She lived with us when we were in Baldwin, and her and all her lovely children, all her wonderful children, and all the grandchildren accepted me into the family. And ever since then, it's just been good. Good to have a full family, good to have people I could rely on and who supported me. And just great to be part of something. I'm just glad to have the opportunity to at least have a grandma like that. And, I hope God rest her soul. She's in a better place now, a more peaceful place. And I can't wait to see everybody. So, thank you.
Alright, so it's my turn to describe a favorite memory with Grandma Joan. And I don't know if I have a favorite memory. I guess I would say some funny things. She was a funny lady. We all know the saying, the bigger the hoop, the bigger the hoe. Grandma. Yeah, she was real. When she was in the hospital and she was on some pain meds, pretty high dose. She was hitting on the anesthesiologist, I think, or the doctor, and she asked him, well, what's your name? He says, Dale. Hi, Dale. You know, that's just Grandma. That's just how she was. Favorite memories. I know she was there. She was around for a lot of things, and it is a long drive to come out here. And she was there for all of our births. I look back on home videos, and she was there. And she's there at the zoo. She came for our graduations. She came for our weddings. She came for all of that stuff. And she never complained. I would say I have a lot of memories with her. Like at Jennica's wedding, I never laughed that hard with Grandma. I never got to, and I got to at that time. And that was a really cool memory to have. I would say my favorite things about her were probably her willingness for everybody. Like, she was so willing to help. And she did not complain. She was not a complainer. She would bend over backwards. She made the mints at everyone's weddings. She didn't talk wrong about anybody. She didn't complain about what she had. And she didn't have much. We all know that. And for her to just be happy on the outlook of life with all of her medical conditions and everything that's gone on in her life, I would say that's my favorite part about her. She's a pretty cool woman to look up to, and we do miss her, and I wish she was around, but I would say those are my favorite memories, but also my favorite things about her.
When my sisters and I were younger, Grandma always cherished every opportunity she had to watch us, whether it be for a night or a weekend or whatever it might be. She always had the biggest smile on her face and was doing whatever it took to make us happy. So I will appreciate that. Every time I would go over to her house, she would be outside on the front porch with Chico running around, the biggest, sweetest smile on her face. And then when we would leave, she would follow us out, stand on the driveway, and wave us goodbye as we were pulling out of the driveway. That's something I will never, ever forget. She also had the greatest fudge in the world. It was very slept on, but if anybody has that recipe, please, somebody has to have that. I really, really need that. Other than that, one thing is I would always tell everybody that she doesn't have a mean bone in her body, and her kids would kind of be like, that's not true. But I always believed it to be true. Up until a couple years ago when I walked into her kitchen where I don't think she knew I was coming in, but she was snapping on definitely my mom, probably Dawn, probably Colton. But I lost it. I could not stop laughing, just had to go to the other room because that's something I had never seen before. But that gave me confirmation that we all have a fuse, you know. So that's just something, I know it's a kind of a weird thing to never forget, but I just thought that was the funniest thing ever. We will love and miss you, Grandma, but yeah, like I said, really going to miss her laugh and her smile.
Hey guys, it's Luke. First things first, I wanted to thank everybody that came out here today. This whole thing would mean a whole lot to Grandma, and I'm glad everybody is here to help honor her memory. So it's my turn to share my favorite memory I have with Grandma, and it's definitely one of the older memories I have with her, but it is one of my favorite and strongest ones I have to this day. So it's very long ago. I was probably less than 5 years old, and my family and I were out visiting Grandma at her house, and we were all just kind of chilling in the living room. Me, Josh, and Matt were playing in her living room, just having fun. And this was when Grandma was recovering from her cancer, so she had a wig on, and I was very young and stupid, so I took off her wig and I just started wearing it. And my mom managed to capture a photo with me wearing it, so I'm hoping that we brought that with us. And I hope everybody can see that, so we can all share this memory I have with her. So thank you, everybody who came out here again.